should pay the bills? To me, this topic is about smart decisions and trust. Smart decisions and trust. When dating, you'll find out things that'll, help make you, make a smart decision on if you should trust that person. So smart decisions and trust is really a big thing. Now, trust them on what? In what way? Money to most people is the number one most important thing to people outside of God. To trust someone with your money takes a different level of trust. I mean, we live in a world where people will let you watch their kids before they trust you with their money. I mean, let's just call it what it is. So no wonder the topic of who should pay the bills gets so passionate. It gets so heated. There's no perfect answer to anything, but if you want to give yourself a shot at a successful lifelong marriage, I believe there's only one way to go about this. Come right with me. Actions are everything. So let's start there. Actions are everything. You can say anything, you can mean well, but ultimately people judge you by your actions. When someone comes into a marriage and they're already thinking about how to protect their personal things in case of a divorce, you're already increasing the chances for a divorce. You've already increased the chances. And we already know the divorce rates, they're higher than what they should be. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, but 50% is way too high. So if you're going into a marriage thinking about personal things and how you can protect them, you've already started off on the wrong foot. Now, you're right to think that as a man, what I just said, could sound misogynistic. I mean, that's just you being aware of our history. I'm not mad at that because I know our history too. So I'll elaborate on my meaning here with the question: why get married? Why get married? Do you get married for love? Because maybe you get married because you've been together for a long time. Some people get married for popularity, reasons. It's a popular thing. I want to look taken, so I have the ring on my finger, so I want to look taken. Do you do it for the kids? I want to make sure that the kids see that they grow up in a married home. Do you do it for financial gain? I mean, why get married? You really have to answer that question to understand where I'm going. Because getting married for love, I mean, you can love somebody. Why get married for love? You don't have to get married to love someone. Being together with somebody, you don't have to get married to be with somebody. You don't have to get legally married to be with someone. I want to look taken. Um, you know, some women, they want to go out and they like to be married. They like the feeling of it. Some men, the same thing. They like the feeling of being married, but you don't have to be married to wear a ring. For the kids, I mean, you don't have to get married to raise your kids in a good home. If any of those are driving your desire to marry, pray hard. If you haven't married yet, pray hard. If you think you're wanting to marry this person, if you think you're on that path, but those are driving your desire, pray hard. Now, my wife and I knew together the day we were going to get married because we talked about it. Mind you, at this time, neither one of us are really religious. We're not really getting advice from anybody. This was just something we knew we wanted to do. We literally had a conversation about, do we want to be married? Yes. Okay. When? Talk about that. Okay. Where? We talked about that. Do we want to live in this apartment? Do we want to get a house? We made decisions together as one, as one. Um, Another thing, before that, we'd already started acting as one. We lived together. We already had an apartment together. That was actually, I think, our second apartment we had together, or third apartment. We lived together. We shared bank accounts. So let's talk about bank accounts, sharing bank accounts. First, there's a reason why. It's not like we said, hey, let's be one, share bank accounts. No, we shared bank accounts because that's just how our life was set up. That's how our relationship was. I was making a little bit more money working at FedEx than she was working at her job. There were times early in our relationship where I would, and I appreciated this. I liked her asking me, or I liked just giving her money. That was how our first couple years worked. We were younger, still going through college. I believe she was still in college at the time. So I had a little bit more money because I had graduated a little earlier. That's just how our relationship was. But eventually, we grew. After a little bit, we were like, okay, why keep doing this? Let's just join accounts. I'm pretty sure I volunteered that because I know actually for a fact that I volunteered that because I didn't want her to have to ask me for anything. I know now that I want to be with you. If I trust you enough to give you money, I trust you enough to do some of the things that we've done. I know now that I want to be with you. I know now that I can trust you with this. Let's become one with this. I'm okay with you seeing my finances. We already know each other's schedules. I already know what each other make. Let's go ahead and just, yeah, let's do this. And with that came other facts. You start to see how people spend money. You start to see how people save money, how people value money, what money can buy. You start to figure out those things before you get married. We experienced being one, which made the decision to get married so much easier. When you go into a marriage thinking about how I can protect my millions, and we aren't millionaires, but I'm just saying, because that's the next question people are going to say. Well, what if I'm a millionaire and I'm marrying somebody who's making 150,000? It doesn't matter. If you go into that marriage and you have to think about how I'm going to protect my millions, you're going into it, and think about this. I'm also talking about the people who do things to before they get married to hide how much money, like whatever you do, you're doing that's selfish in that kind of way, deceiving. You're starting off wrong. You're putting yourself out there. You're putting it out there that there's some things that you don't trust. So take some time. It's okay to wait. It's okay to wait a little bit until you feel comfortable enough to do certain things that says, okay, I'm one. When I say I do, I'm saying I trust you. I'm putting myself out there because we are one. We are now becoming one. I'm going from my own individual person to becoming one. I can't possibly vision you intentionally hurting me because it'll only hurt you too. That's what marriage is to me. God gave us free will, which means you can think differently. You have your own opinions, have your own experiences. But here's what Moses said. That is why a man leaves his father and a mother and is joined to his wife. In this way, two people become one.